Hi guys, welcome to the first review of Mad at the Movies. Um, this is just a discussion, no spoilers for Batman vs Superman. I've seen it twice, and this is definitely one of those movies where you definitely have to see it twice. Um, the first go around, let me just say, I can understand why some people might say they get lost and how it could be very congested and how it's not a very linear storyline. How it basically bounces back and forth through narratives. I can understand why some people will get lost or how it can be kind of confusing to those who are not very knowledgeable about, say, Batman mythology or Superman mythology or even Wonder Woman, especially, who just happens to pop up in the movie. There's really no background to her unless you know just basically who she is watching the Justice League cartoons or any of that stuff. If you're watching this review, you should know that this is not. Don't listen to what people are saying in the reviews. You know, Rotten Tomatoes and all that. They're giving it a whole. You know, all the reviews that they piled together. They're giving it. You know, what was it last time I saw 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's definitely not a 30% to me. I'm kind of surprised that people are really bagging on this movie. I understand this movie took 3 years to make, in a sense, and I can understand the frustration with some people who were kind of building it up in their minds to be something other than it was. But I think people have to go in there understanding that this is not an interpretation of Batman and Superman that we're, you know, seeing in our heads. You know, that it's not something that basically we imagine in our head. This is Zack Snyder's interpretation of the mythology, and Ben Affleck's interpretation, Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot, and so forth and so on. And I think it's very I think it's an injustice to the filmmakers if you go in there and pan the movie because it didn't. Batman's not how you pictured him in your head. You know, he's not in this movie. Batman's not pictured the way he's not depicted how he is in my head, but it's still a decent movie. I mean, Batman kicks ass. I mean, the reviews to me are bullshit. I saw this movie twice, and each time I walked out of the theater, I loved the movie. I understand why certain people, like I said, can hate it or be confused. But like I said, this is a movie that you definitely have to see at least a couple of times to really get everything that is in the movie. Because like I said, it is a very it goes all over the place. It's very congested. It can be very congested. You can get lost in it, and I definitely got lost in it the first time. You know, oh, Batman and Superman, and it goes to Lois Lane, and it goes back to Gal Gadot, then it goes to it goes all over the place. And watching it the second time, I kind of understood um, the narrative a little bit more. I understood that it was all connected in some sort of way. They weren't just throwing people in or throwing this scene in or throwing that scene in like I did in the first viewing. I thought that they were just kind of throwing stuff in there, you know, for shits and giggles. But it actually wasn't that. I think Zack Snyder did a tremendous job. I think Ben Affleck, to me, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of slack for this, I think he, to me, is the definitive Batman that I've seen on film. And I'm 25 years old, and I've seen every Batman film. I'm a huge comic book fan. This is a movie that, to me, did not exceed my expectations. I will say that it did not exceed it. It basically met my expectations. It wasn't full of how I would say imagined in my head. You know, seeing the trailers, you see the trailers, and the trailers depict a gritty, realistic, grounded film. And I think the movie is dark. I mean, if you've seen the movie, you'll know it's a dark movie. You know, the ending especially. You know, well, that ending battle, I should say, is especially dark. You know, it's not a Marvel movie where you know what's, you know, it's a lighter tone and it's fun and all that stuff. It's definitely not that. It's definitely a movie if you're into that sort of grittiness and that anger, you know, all that stuff. But basically, I want to dive into right now is a couple of the characters that really stuck out to me. First off is Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. His Lex Luthor is fucking amazing. I mean, I've heard people say he's miscast, this and that, since the reviews came out. And I just, you know, I don't understand who is watching the movie because, I mean, the guy, to me, You know, the definition of a great actor to me is somebody who can, and to a lot of people I'm sure, is a person that can play the role and make you forget that they're an actor. You know, when I watch Jesse Eisenberg, I don't see Jesse Eisenberg. I don't see the guy from Zombieland. I don't see the guy from Now You See Me. I see Lex Luthor, and his Lex Luthor was very like very jittery, and you could tell under the surface he was full of just rage and this anger and all these things that was going on, you know, this anger and all these things that was going on. You know, he was definitely into some sort of and it bubbled underneath. It didn't quite blow up in a way that, say, like most of the people who have some sort of deep down anger kind of blow up the volcano and just spew it everywhere. He just never let it really come out until the very end. And it reminded me a lot. You know, there's a scene that I won't get into that really just reminded me of, and you know, these comparisons I'm sure have been made, like Heath Ledger's Joker, the tics and the deep seated he's got such intelligence, and he's maniacal and he's pure evil. You know, he really doesn't give a fuck. He does not care. He hates Superman. He hates Batman. He hates these metahumans. And you can tell it's not because of the fact that they're here. It's because that they kind of make him feel inferior. And it's all about power for him. And I think Jesse played that role perfectly. I think Gene Hackman would be proud. I think all these characters coming into this universe are definitely going to be of a different tone, a different sort of texture that we're used to. Another character that really stood out to me was Alfred, Jeremy Irons. His Alfred is definitely probably the quintessential Alfred. I'm sorry, Michael Caine, but this is the Alfred that we read about in the comics. You know, the grease monkey, the guy who likes to fix stuff and repair him, not just the body, which is what we saw Michael Caine do. We kind of saw him mend his body and his heart and his mind, but we really see Jeremy Irons kind of just taking that role, and he loves him and he wants kind of like a father figure, and he basically builds all his gadgets, and he takes care of all the stuff that Bruce Wayne does, you know, outside of the Batcave. So it was just a really great portrayal. Something that I think if you watch the rest of the movies and if you read the comics, especially the movies, you're not used to it. But if you read the comics, you're really, like, you should be really happy with that character. And finally, a person that I really want to say grew a lot in this movie, to me, this is just my opinion, is Henry Cavill. Superman in this movie seemed to be kind of, I know they're saying that there's not a lot of character development, but I felt like his character went through some development for sure. Because this is definitely a Superman movie. Let's not be confused. This is definitely a Superman movie because, I mean, the majority of the characters in the film are Superman characters. You know, Lex Luthor and Doomsday and all these other characters. They're all Mercy Graves. You know, these are all Superman characters. They did a great job at showing that Superman is not just a Boy Scout. You know, that, you know, when there's trouble, and especially, you know, there's a scene where you kind of see he's ready to give it all up and to give up his morals and his principles and to be that type of bad guy in a sense. He's gotta do what he's gotta do to save somebody he loves, and he doesn't want to do it, but he has to do it. He feels like, and he's willing to. You know, there's a few things that you can see into the future that maybe this might be like, you know, the next movie might be more of a soft reboot for Superman, in a sense that the way it ended, it was just, there was so much more depth to Henry Cavill's portrayal this time. He wasn't just like this happy-go-lucky, scared to come out of the box type guy who was always worried about if he would let his father down. I think at this point he's kind of embraced the notion that he is Superman, and that people can't really, if they can't accept him, then that's their problem. He's just gonna be there. You know, the question of the film is, should there be a Superman? That's basically the question of the whole film, is should there be a Superman? And honestly, like Holly Hunter said, there is a Superman, and her portrayal was also top notch. You know, she was not a character in the comic books. Senator Finch was absolutely phenomenal. She showed Lex Luthor who was boss. Granny's peach tea. That was fucking an amazing scene. Um, but really, those are the characters that really stuck out, and I can't not say that Ben Affleck wasn't amazing. I've said it before, but I'm pretty sure people will watch this and say, yeah, he was amazing. I didn't see Ben Affleck. I saw Bruce Wayne. I don't care what anybody says. That I saw Bruce Wayne. I was thoroughly impressed with him. Even though for the majority in the movie he's not Batman. He is Bruce Wayne. You're seeing Bruce Wayne. And he is the best Bruce Wayne. His Batman I need to see more of. But his Batman, the fighting techniques, I mean, if you're a fan of Arkham, the Arkham games, if you're a fan of the animated series, if you're a fan of those type of incarnations of Batman, you will most definitely be satisfied with Ben Affleck's portrayal. But like I said, I just want people to know that the main point of this is, if you watch this and you still haven't seen it, and you're waiting for and you're reading the reviews, and you're still at home, and you're just questioning, and you're saying, nah, I'm not going to see it. I'm telling you, the reviews, there must be like some 70-year-old guys or 50 or 60-year-old men and women, that are watching these movies and reviewing them, and they're judging it by the cinematography and the soundtrack and the storyline and the character development. It's a comic book movie. This is the most comic book movie you will ever watch. The action is very comic book. The dialogue is very very comic booky. It's got a lot of zingers in there. It's just very it's not a Dark Knight Rises, Dark Knight type movie. It's not in that realistic type of tone. They touch on it a very little bit, but it's not that tone. I think people going in there expecting to see a Christopher Nolan type Batman movie is going to be disappointed. I mean, most people hate on Zack Snyder because of his style, and that he's basically never been able to deliver. Personally, this is his best movie to me. I liked Man of Steel. I didn't love it. I liked Man of Steel. I loved this movie. This movie kind of answered a lot of questions for me, and it basically put me at ease with a lot of things. And the nice little Easter eggs that he threw in there. I mean, you got to understand, Zack Snyder is he's a comic book guy, like he said. I've seen an interview with him. He said he's a comic book guy, and he looked he didn't look too happy when the reviews came out. But I'm gonna say that he basically did it right to me. For me, as a comic book fan, reading it my entire life, he got it right to me. I mean, there really is no perfect way to do these movies. He did the best way he could, and there will be another Batman versus Superman movie in 30 years or whatever. But for right now, we finally get our first version of it, and he basically hit it out of the park to me. There was no way that, to me, you have 3 years that you could have fucked this up, and he did it pretty good. But like I said, if you're looking for a reason not to go, then that's on you. I feel like people are going in there looking for a reason to hate this movie. And they shouldn't. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I walked in there after reading the reviews and the first time, and I was like, man, I might hate this movie. I hope I don't hate this movie. And I really didn't. I really didn't hate it. Not at all. I loved it. I saw it with my girlfriend. She loved it. I saw it with my friend again yesterday. He absolutely loved it. I will probably see it again in IMAX. I haven't seen it in IMAX yet, but I will. And so far, I've seen it in every format except for IMAX. And I can say that this is a movie that just really is just a pure epic movie. It's very epic. It's very action driven. The character development is secondary. The action is front and center. But there is character development. I think people miss out on that. I don't know if people just kind of just think of it as like some Oscar-winning movie. It's not going to win an Oscar. At least not for character or script or anything like that. It might win some for visuals, but it's definitely not going to win for that, because that's just how it is. You're going in there to be entertained, and I could say this, they did their job. I was thoroughly entertained. But I also have to throw this in there. Wonder Woman steals the show at the very end. She steals the show. Gal Gadot is absolutely fucking gorgeous. She definitely will be the best Wonder Woman that we've seen since Linda Carter, because she's the only other Wonder Woman. But I think she did it justice. I think if you can get as realistic as you can get with Wonder Woman in terms of the accent and the look of her and the kind of how do you say this, like foreign look. She looks very foreign. She shouldn't look like, I'm sorry to say, she shouldn't look like some blue-eyed white girl, from wherever. She's from the Amazon. She's an Amazon, and she looks like an Amazon. She fights very, 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 very much like I would imagine Wonder Woman fighting. And I think that anybody who's a fan of Justice League will definitely be a fan of this movie. They definitely tease a few other characters in there, and I hope that people are not reading the reviews and banking that this movie is not going to be good, because this movie genuinely is a great movie. Is it on the same level as A Dark Knight? Like I said, no. Like I said, if I had to grade this movie out of a 10, scale of 1 to 10, I would definitely give this movie about a 9. It's a 9 in my book. There were some things that definitely could have been fixed. I felt like there was probably like the scenes with Lois Lane. There were scenes in there that it was just like, wow, that was like 2 seconds. I understand why they put it in there. They gotta tie everything together, but I can understand why people might say they can get lost or it's congested. I'll say that once again. But don't hate on the movie. Don't go in there looking to hate it. Go in there understanding that this is gonna be a movie that that you will probably not fully keep up with the first time you see it. But the second time around, if you do happen to go see it the second time, and I do urge people, if you don't get it the first time and you're kind of hating on it and you really want to love it, really go spend the money, see it again, really pay attention this time. You really know what's coming. Anything that you really missed out on or were confused about, pay attention. That's what I did. And I gotta say, after the second time, I absolutely loved it. I got the movie. I wasn't lost. I feel like I understood where Zack Snyder was going with it. It had to end in my way, the way it ended. It had to end that way, I think, in order for them to stay true to the comic books. Because if you know anything about certain things, about certain characters that are popping up in this film, you know how usually in the comic books this ends up. But yeah, this is it. I just wanted to give my take on this, because I feel like there's a lot of bad reviews going out there, especially ones that I've seen on YouTube. I follow a few people out there, and like Superhero News. I know that those guys were very disappointed, and a few like Hector and all them, and they were, those guys I really go to, so to hear them say, oh man, like, we were disappointed for this and that, I had to go, and they were right. This is a movie where you have to go see it for yourself, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I saw it for myself, because I definitely didn't hate it. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but what I say is, forge your own opinion, make your own thoughts. Don't just listen to what's on the internet like a lot of people do nowadays. You might see that 30-40% on Rotten Tomatoes and think, that's it, I'm not going to go see it. Throw it out the window. There's no need for it. Go out there and judge it for yourself. See the movie. Enjoy the movie. Go in there having a good mind, an open mind, and wanting to have a good time, and you will not be disappointed at all. But that's basically it. I give this movie a 9 out of 10. I will definitely be seeing it again in IMAX. I hope that this was informative in some way. But like I said, see the movie. Don't let people discourage you from it. A lot of people have been waiting for this movie for a long time, myself included. And I gotta say, personally, as a 25-year-old young man, I was not disappointed at all. So take that into consideration before you guys make judgment. All right. So thank you guys for visiting my page, Matt at the Movies. Hopefully I'll keep this going. If you guys have any questions, please comment down below, and I look forward to hearing from you guys soon. Take care.